brief on this.
Yes,
yeah.
I'll try to be very brief.
Yeah, sure.
Because this is not a matter that needs to take much of our time.
Right.
You see, first of all, I have not seen any official correspondence from the presidency making public the content and identities of the, making public the contents of the petition. And of course, the identities of the petitioners.
Right.
It has not been done.
Okay.
And as a practitioner, I think that I am still very committed to the principles as enshrined under Article 146 in terms of the caution on us to ensure that the processes are done in camera. And to that extent, we are prohibited from proceeding to run commentary on purported leakages from the said petition.
Yeah.
And so, as a member of a government that clearly intends to follow the laid down constitutional strictures to the latter, I would be a bit uncomfortable proceeding to run commentary on the basis of ifs. But what I would simply say, Moro, is that what you have read, I also saw it on another sister station, which is Asaase Radio, for the first time. And the responses, for that matter, or purported responses of the Chief Justice to the 3 petitions, I think they serialized it online yesterday. And I became a little bit concerned.
Right.
Because we all know the leanings of Asaase Radio and the ownership structure of that entity. So I began asking myself, if these things are actually true, that these were actually the petitions filed against Tokono, and the purported responses actually constitute her responses, then who would have leaked it? Definitely not government, because government would not choose to use Asaase Radio, that is politically aligned, to leak such a document. And if my suspicions are grounded that that leakage could be coming from the office of the disgruntled or suspended Chief Justice, then clearly she would be in outright breach of Article 146(8) of the Constitution. That requires the processes to be in camera, and that in itself would have constituted justification for the committee set up by the president to find her not worthy to occupy that position. And you see, Moro, again, one of the perceptions out there against you largely has to do with your political nature in terms of where you align. And is it therefore not surprising that since the start of this issue, those leading the charge for her appear to be part of the same political party that people are accusing her of doing their bidding, or were accusing her of doing their bidding when she was Chief Justice? Today, we wake up to the first exposure after you have been asked to proceed on suspension to another known and well-connected radio station beginning to serialize the petitions and your responses. And remember, I think somewhere last week, I told my brother on this platform, Richard, that he should hasten slowly.
Right. Because
we do not know the names of the petitioners and their professional backgrounds. More based on what they have released as Asaase Radio, it should be clear to all of us around this table that officers of the court played leading roles in submitting the petitions to the president. In one instance, based on what they have released, Asaase Radio, one of them is a lawyer. What business does he have to do with the National Democratic Congress? And that's why from day one we started cautioning them that if there is anybody making the issue a political issue, it is the NPP. Today, based on their report, their leakage, we know one Daniel Ofori in the past had an engagement with a case that involved the suspended Chief Justice. And of course, those on the other side of that case was Databank, Ken Ofareta and Co. To the point that the said petitioner, Daniel Ofori, had cause to call for the Chief Justice then to recuse herself. Not so?
Yeah.
Many things are coming up. If indeed what Asaase Radio released is true, and any person seized with these facts would not resist the temptation to conclude that indeed a prima facie has been established.
Okay.
And so for me, reading the commentary, reading the so-called leakage, that's what the conclusion I came to. One important thing about the purported travel. I have seen it there too. The travel policy is very clear.
Okay.
It says private travel, you are supposed to go with your security person alone, and it will be borne by the state. But in her purported response, if it is true, the one being circulated by Asaase Radio, the Chief Justice fails to bring a distinction between private travel and official travel. The accusation has to do with private travel, and there are restrictions as to how to travel privately.
Right.
So she was not responding to the petition when she sought to take the travel outside the private realms into official realms.
Okay.
Anybody or any president seized with such a response would come to the conclusion that there's the need for me to investigate this a little bit further.
Right.
Because the petitioner is talking about private travel and the restrictions around it, and in your response, you are seeking to respond using official travels.
Okay.
So clearly it calls for further investigation. And that is why I think that it was easier for the president in consultation with the Council of State to establish a prima facie case.
Okay.
Because if you look at what is being circulated, it is a bit problematic. And I feel terribly sorry for court users over the last 4 years.
All right.
Because you see, the frustration is quite glaring, not just on the basis of the petitions or the so-called petitions that we are told exist,
All right.
but largely even on the basis of polls conducted by credible organizations, from CDD to Afrobarometer and to their own NPP spokesperson, Nana Okomia, had cause on this very platform to indicate that indeed confidence in the judiciary had gone very low.
Okay.
So, Moro, this is a critical issue.
All right.
And the power belongs to the Ghanaian people.
Okay.
And if the Ghanaian people elect to exercise the power to reform their institutions by invoking Article 146, requiring the president to act, the president is enjoined under our laws to do so.
Okay.
And for me, what is exciting is that what the president has done so far cannot be said to be illegal.
Okay.
It is supported by our legal statutes, and for me, that is satisfying.
Okay.
My caution, however, to the NPP is that they must not make the case even worse for the suspended Chief Justice.
All right.
I think that she has what it takes to find appropriate lawyers to defend her.
Okay.
And when she appears before the committee, she would have all the time in the world to make her side of the case known.
All right.
But I am a bit worried about the purported leakage in the system. And you know that even in the past, not long ago, the president had cause to berate her for leaking her own official letter to the presidency. So it will not be surprising that indeed this leak once again came from her, largely because she was leaving, that she was asked to go on leave. Or she was suspended, rather. So her conduct is a bit worrying. And when you run commentaries on this, it's not because you want her out. It is because you expect the highest level of standards from an occupant of that office. And her conduct so far makes it difficult for even people who would have wished to defend her to defend her.
All right.